Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is the progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. Remember, you can also send me a tweet to EGBERTOWILLIES. That is, at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is politics done right.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Well, folks, welcome to one more edition of Politics Done Right. I'm Egberto Willies, your host. Thank you so kindly for being a part of the show. We are going to have a great show for you today. You know what it's going to be about, of course. It's almost like it always has to do something with something that Donald Trump has done. But you know what? We are going to lighten it up a bit because we have a special guest with us today. And before I get started, and even though it's not ready for her to come in yet, I want to introduce her. So who do we have the honor of being with other than the one and only Keshia Thomas? Keshia Thomas, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much, and thank you so much for having me on your show. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. So we're going to give you your due as far as your entrance is concerned, because we know you're not just somebody named Keshia Thomas. We know you're a whole lot more than just Keshia Thomas. I mean, a lot of the people that you're running around with here in the activism that you're doing here in Houston, I wonder sometimes how many people knew the things that you've been through. But we are going to get to that in a little bit. Folks, this is going to be a great show today. We're going to talk about, yes, the stock market kind of came back a little bit today, but I want to tell you folks that I don't give stock advice. Suffice it to say that I left the stock market quite a bit ago, quite a few years ago, to tell you to be truthful. I don't have very little stuff in there altogether. Now, the title of the show today is going to be British Government Response to Trump Healthcare Tweet Exposes American Shame. And the subtitle is Trump and Right Unfazed by America's Second Shame, Healthcare. Of course, I don't have to tell you guys what the first shame is. We won't go there today. We'll do that some other time. But anyhow, going back to the subject at hand. As it turns out, like a zombie watching Fox News, Donald Trump sent out an asinine tweet about the demonstrations in the United Kingdom from people concerned about the direction of their well-regarded health care. Once again, Fox News was his source. The British, the left, and the right collectively made him pay for his tweet. He paid for that tweet. The British response should be an embarrassment. The British response should embarrass every right-wing politician not supporting a Medicare for all single-payer system. But before we really get into the program, I have an introduction to make, and that is to Keshia Thomas, a local activist, is here to announce an event in our community. For those who do not know Keshia, suffice it to say, she has earned her activist bonafides. Miss Thomas is that woman on the 1996 Life magazine picture of the year in the photograph. Keshia is protecting a Ku Klux Klan member from a mob ready to tear him apart. You know, if you take a look at the video that we are going to show in a little bit, you kind of wonder if Keshia herself would have been torn apart had she not sort of give them that look. She was interviewed by Oprah and scored on and a score of other networks across the world about her deed. She has remained engaged in her very positive form of proactive activism. And notice what I said, proactive activism, not just going out there and screaming in the streets. Believe me, I'm a screamer in the streets as well, and I do all of that. But after the screaming, after doing all the things, there's a whole lot of work that is left to be done. There's a whole lot of analysis that has to be done. There's a whole lot of engagement that has to be done. I've watched this woman all over town, and not only all over town, but it turns out, given that we're in the same circles of activism, I mean, you go somewhere and guess who's there. But anyhow, let's go ahead and I tell you what, before I Yeah, let's bring Keshia in first. Keshia, listen, tell me a little bit about yourself and what you're doing, first of all, before we go into the announcement that you want to make.
Well, that was just a marvelous introduction. I don't know how to follow that, especially when somebody has so much positive things to say about the work that I do. But if anything that I want to be remembered for, it's got to be the fact that I like to not only just be an activist, not just about being in the streets and yelling, it's also about empowering. I want to empower people because I tell people all the time, if I'm dead, the legacy of what we have to do does not die with me. I want to make sure that people are given the tools to continue the fight, to continue the work that needs to be done. So if I had to describe myself, activism is one hat, educator is another hat, motivator is another hat. But all these things are transferable skills and transferable things that need to happen to mobilize the community, to get jobs done, and to get justice.
Well, Keshia, I remember we were participating in I was actually there to record it, right here at Lone Star College, where you came at a panel, and you got into it with another friend of mine, a younger person who thought that voting was unnecessary given the choices that he made. And I remember how that went around. I don't know if you know the outcome of that going forward, but since that discussion that you had with him in Houston at Lone Star College, I met him in Baltimore, and his stance has actually changed, and he became an active supporter of voting. You know who I'm talking about? The guy that confronted Gerardo Rivera. Yeah. So anyhow.
Absolutely. And that's how I measure success. Success for me isn't measured in dollars or how many speaking engagements I have. Success for me is measured in a change of mindset. What good would it have been for this activist, and I put my fingers up in quotation marks, to go around the country and speak on panels and tell young people that voting doesn't matter, that he's never been inspired to vote. I was heated at that panel. I was pissed off.
Right.
I was frustrated.
I know. I came over and spoke to you and told you, just chill.
Go ahead.
I remember coming over because I saw that in your face, and I said, it's okay. And don't, because I wasn't at the panel that you actually got mad at. I think you did 3 panels that day, or 2 panels that day and 2 the other day. And I think I came and I said, hey, let it.
Right. And let me just tell you, it took every panel I had. Every chance I got, I was on top of them about voting. I was on top of them about the importance of things. Every moment that we had, because to me, I don't have a lot of time. Though my time needs to be used wisely. And sometimes I got to go hard on people because it's not about your feelings. It's about the movement. It's about mobilizing people. We have police brutality. We have it out here where police are killing people and they're still able to get their job. And if I don't have young people out here voting to say, okay, well, we need a new chief of police, we need a new mayor, we need a new DA, then I don't care how mad you get in the street. Things don't happen if you don't get into the ballot box.
Absolutely.
Now, and the crazy thing about it is that you and I actually met for the first time when I had just come off the march. I had just walked from Selma, Alabama to Washington, D.C. For voting rights. Right. So I see what they're doing in North Carolina. And Reverend Barbara, who is an amazing man, who I, know him and I am around him, and he is just an amazing man. And I'm seeing the work that he's doing because they're trying to gerrymander. They're trying to cut out the vote. They're trying to make it harder for people to vote. And here it is, a young person who's supposed to be an activist is telling people, oh, I don't feel motivated to vote. You don't get your stripes as an activist in 5 minutes of fame.
Right.
You get your stripes as an activist by hard work. You get your stripes by bloody feet. You get your stripes by being knocked down. And the thing is,
Keshia,
getting back up the next day. I was outnumbered at that panel. Yeah. I was outnumbered. Yes, I was out, whatever. But I did not give up. I don't care if you continuously call me older. I don't care if you continuously say that I am not, what is ideal or sexy. Because my message is transferable. It doesn't matter how, what I look like. The bones of the structure is still the same.
Right.
We have to have the vote out.
Now, Keshia, let me go ahead and tell folks a little bit about what you did. I want to play them. Guys, give me a few minutes here and listen to this Oprah interview with Keshia.
And in response, more than 300 people gathered to protest the Ku Klux Klan. And as you can see wasn't long before that rally grew violent, and police then had to use tear gas to disperse the angry, rock-throwing crowd. This is what happened next. As you can see in this first photo, the man on the left in the foreground is wearing a Confederate flag on his t-shirt under his black vest. See there? And he's being attacked by protesters. This photo shows Keshia Thomas, who's here with us today. As you can see, Keshia then used her own body as a human shield to protect the man who was wearing the Confederate flag from the angry crowd. Keshia says that she risked her own life because it was the right thing to do. Yeah.
That's right.
Weren't you afraid that they were going to then turn on you?
Well, it's really weird because I know you believe in angels, but it felt like two angels that lifted my body up and laid me down. You're covered by God. You know, you do what He's supposed to do. You don't worry about anything else.
And so was it sort of like an out-of-body angel experience for you?
It was kind of like for women that have kids, when they see their kid in danger, you don't think it's a natural reaction to kind of go in there and, you know, do what you got to do.
But this wasn't your kid. This was a white man at a Klan rally wearing a Confederate flag T-shirt.
Right. But he was still a human being, bottom line. I mean, people don't like me and things that I have to say. And God forbid that one day somebody started beating me up. You know? I mean, not in my town. I really don't want violence in my town. So you kind of got to get out there, stand up, and be accountable.
Well, we have some footage from Keshia in action. We slowed it down so you can see what was happening when Keshia protected that man wearing the Confederate flag T-shirt. And you can see a second incident where Keshia tried to protect another person and got maced right in the eye by a police officer.
Amazing.
So Keshia, what were you doing out there?
Well, it's
Because a Klan rally ain't exactly the place to be, you know? If you're not looking for
to go be friends.
Yeah.
In Ann Arbor, it's a college town. There's a lot of energy in like changing the world, changing things. Like I said, stand up and be accounted for. So I felt like I needed to be there. You know, the 8-year-old kid, I had a voice and I had something to say. You know, your ideas are not welcome here in my town. So I decided to go.
Did you expect it to turn ugly?
No, I didn't.
You thought you'd just stand up and say your ideas are not welcome in this town, or your presence there would say that?
Right, yeah, that's what I was thinking. Because there were a lot of people there, and there were, you know, we have music going on, and you got, like, people in bullhorns, you know, rallying up, and it was like a nice 1960s version of a protest.
Of a protest. Well, you did the right thing.
Why, thank you.
This is a story.
Now that is what I call exceptional. So now you continued your career, like you said. We met in Washington D.C. I think you marched from Selma. Is that right?
From Selma, Alabama to Washington, D.C., 1,002 miles of walking.
Well, you know, I did more miles than you did, but I did it in a bus with a whole bunch of college kids. I brought the college kids to Washington, D.C., and then we finished the march with you guys for the last 2 or 3 miles. So, I mean, we did a little bit of marching ourselves, too.
That's what matters. It's all of us combined, you know, doing our part.
Yeah,
so it doesn't matter if you walked half a mile or you walked all the miles.
Right, but we all converged on the mall. And then we had, of course, Representative, what's the guy from South Carolina? Came out there with us. Bernie Sanders.
Reverend Barbara.
Reverend Barbara.
Oh, Bernie Sanders. I'm sorry. From
Bernie Sanders was out there. Reverend Barbara was there. He was really the star. Then we had the guy from who ran the NAACP. He's no longer there. Was also there. So we had quite a few people come.
Yeah, President Brooks.
Yes, Brooks, exactly. Anyway, let's get down to business as far as telling these folks on the air exactly why you are here. I wanted, before you explained what you were doing locally on Saturday, I wanted folks to know who it is that we were speaking with, who we're dealing with, because what I said this show was going to be, you know, we went from Politics Done Right only on Thursdays at KPFT 90.1 FM to to Politics Done Right 5 days a week. And I said this is a place where activists and politicians, progressives that hadn't been featured on our mainstream, that, you know, pretty much a lot of times get ignored, we're going to get featured here, and by gosh, that's what we are going to do. So I wanted to make sure and give you your due. Secondly, now, why don't you tell us a little bit about what it is that you're doing this weekend and what you want out of the folks in the Harris County area, Montgomery County area, to know about Saturday?
Okay, so this Saturday, I need everybody to, if you can attend, watch it on Facebook Live. If you can't watch it on Facebook Live, just be aware. I think one of the things that people don't understand is they say, how did Trump become president? Did people outsmart us? No, they out-organized us. Right now, we have a fight for the Senate. We need to turn Texas blue. And I don't just mean that on party lines of let's just have Democrats in office just because they're Democrats. Let's have people in office that are going to make good choices for all of people of Texas, who are going to think about the children, the future, the environment. So I ran into a man, I met a man named Beto. He came down to Greenspoint. Now, I know a lot of politicians. I know a lot of senators, and I know a lot of congressmen. So I'm not impressed by your title. What impresses me is your work. How do you interact with people? What are some of the things that you want to see happen? So when Beto came to Greenspoint, he didn't just stay at the church, at Greenhouse International Church. I said, Beto, can you come down to Northborough? I live on Northborough. Northborough was considered one of the bloodiest streets in Houston. But that didn't stop him of what the reputation was. He wanted to talk to firsthand the people and see what the needs of the people were. Now, this isn't, I'm not saying that on Northborough we have the highest percentage of people that are registered to vote. And that's the thing that I'm looking at, in between the lines. What is this man saying without him saying it? So then after I had time to sit down and talk to him and fill out his ideas, I said, okay, well, a lot of the things that you say and do are on the same path that I'm on, are the same things that
you believe
that I believe. Sorry, the call wasn't in. Mm-hmm. But that's Congressman Beto's team right now that just tried to buzz in and chime in, because we're getting ready to organize a town hall. And I want this town hall not just to be for Democrats, not just independents or the Green Party or the Tea Party, but also Republicans, because we cannot get caught up on party lines, and we have too much of this country at stake. Right now, Trump wants to build a wall. We don't have the resources to build this wall and maintain this wall with a drug problem in the heart of America. Our healthcare system is in crisis right now. We have a gap in the labor, skill, and employment. We are also deporting skilled and educated people. We're not going to make it on the idea of make America great again if your idea does not, if you look at what America really is. And this is going to hurt a lot of people's feelings. And yes, we have hope for the future. And yes, we're a beautiful country. But we're getting sick. We're catching a cold right now. And we cannot deny the fact that we're catching a cold. So either we fight this cold off and say it's no big deal, or it turns into the flu, which turns into something dangerous. We have to stop and look at our health care. We have to stop and look at our education. We have to stop and look, are we really giving people the skills to get the job that we need? We cannot be competitive. We can't blame a country we cannot blame a company for going overseas if overseas has the skills to fill the employment. So there's a lot of different things. That's what I'm thinking I like about Beto. Don't build the wall. Focus on the needs of the veterans. He's on the committee for Veteran Affairs, which is excellent. My father is actually, a retired Air Force, and I'm a member of the Ladies Auxiliary, so a little shout out to them there. But anyway, so I'm not going to talk too long-winded. Just come out. And I want you to come out, and I want you to bring your hard questions. Because I believe in this man, and I also believe that we can hold him to the fire and hold him accountable. I don't even think we have to hold him accountable because he's already proven what he's about. So this Saturday, 200 West Greens Road, Greenhouse International Church, Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee will be there. A lot of the community will be there. And I want you all to come out there to see what Beto has to say. And if you like what the man has to say, then let's go on to the next level, the next thing, which is what I've already started, because, you have to think about a game plan. which is that we got to race for people to vote. We kind of messed up here in this last election, which is just to see who's going to be on the ballot. But it's getting ready to be go time, and we can't wait till the last minute. So we got to pour some of this black girl magic and say the United States of America.
Okay, Keshia. So I think is this place a big enough place to hold the people that you think are going to make it out there? Because we really want
absolutely.
We really want to show that people are engaged, and the way to show that is really to show up. It's on a Saturday, so most of you are not working. So go out there and they have this term that says squeaky wheels get the grease. If you want squeaky wheels to get the grease, make sure that there's a good chance that Beto beats Cruz. I know a lot of people are looking at that as thinking it's impossible. There's a good chance that if the voter registration drive that thus far has been very successful work, and I think you are going to see a Beto O'Rourke. You better be some of the folks that put the guy there so that when Keshia calls him, he won't say take a message. He'll say I'm coming to the phone, because right now all of us can call.
And actually, and you know what?
Go ahead. Yeah.
I hate to cut you off, but I want to tell you something about, and that's a personal story.
Mm-hmm.
When Harvey hit,
mm-hmm.
he called me and said, "Keshia, what do you need?"
Right.
He didn't. I mean, I'm not saying that he didn't call Congress or whatever, or state or local officials.
Yes.
But he called me, had his people reach out. Keshia, what do you need? How can I help? And as soon as he can get down to Greens Point, where we were opening up the distribution center, that's where where I did that whole video. Well, I need to see my truck and all this other stuff.
Yes.
So he's a man that's ahead of the ball instead of behind it. Also, just a little sidebar: that church Pastor Decker, 200 West Greens Road, it used to be an old Kroger's.
Oh.
So think about how much space we have to fill out the old Kroger's.
So look, folks, we need to get people in that place so that Beto knows that so that he remembers that Greens Point area, because it's going to flood again, and a lot of stuff is going to happen out there again, and you want to know that you have the ear of the politicians out there. So, folks, not only in the Greens Point area, I'm urging my Kingwood folks to go support the Greens Point area. I'm urging my Montrose people to get out there and support him. I'm asking my Heights people to go out there and support Greens Point. Let's, Houston, all come together and coalesce at that church called the
Greenhouse International Church, 200 West Greens Road, Houston, Texas. It starts at 3:00.
I should be there interviewing Beto. I think we'll do the interview before the thing, and then we're going to live stream that all over the country, so that folks see what grassroots activism looks like. Need to fix your grammar, Egberto. So, Keshia, tell me a little bit more before we go into the blog of the week, and then I'm going to open up the phones. Folks, the telephone number is 646-716-5812. That is 646-716-5812. What else is there, Keshia?
Well, let's see here. What else is there? So one of the things that we need to focus on is the fact that Trump wants to cut $238 million from Job Corps.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Job Corps is extremely important to kids, especially in my neighborhood. We have 2 kids that are getting ready to go off to Job Corps. And so after we do this thing for Beto, we're going to go and celebrate on the block, this kid getting off the block, getting off of selling drugs, getting off of whatever, to go and make sure that his future is much better. And we're showing support for that.
Excellent. Well, Keshia.
So that's important. So, like, what Trump, I'm sorry?
No, go ahead.
So what Trump wants to do by cutting and slashing budgets, I have to put a face to who's going to get hurt.
There you go.
I've got to get a face to what does it mean for Job Corps? What does it mean for the kids that come from, the neighborhood that I live in? What does that mean to them? What opportunities are we going to take away? I want you all to look at, I love this guy named Mike Rowe. I think he's absolutely funny and fantastic. He does a show called Dirty Jobs.
Yes, I love
it. And
it.
he talks about the labor, the gap between skilled labor and the employment. He talks about how our country has just pushed so many people into getting a degree, but what happens is they don't have now they're in debt. And we kind of look down on people with jobs, our, construction workers, our electricians, our plumbers. They make really good money,
well,
and they're happy and have a good quality of life. So we have to rethink a lot of this.
Well, the truth of the matter is I look down at absolutely no job. If you're willing to work, why am I? I mean, I remember in the early days, I always used to when I was talking out against some of our economic policies and those who made money and those who didn't, I always told folks straight out, I much more appreciate my. I think to be appreciated is your garbage man over your stockbroker, because your garbage man influences you immediately. Your garbage man makes sure that you don't get certain kind of diseases. Your stockbroker just simply takes your money and never loses. Whether the stock market is up or down, he wins. So those are the things we have to remember. But look, Keshia, stay with me. We have to go do this thing that we have called the blog of the week, and then I'll get back with you. And folks, if you want to call in, let's get calls at 646-716-5812. Again, that number is 646-716-5812. But you know what time it is.
It's time for the weekly blog post.
Okay, folks, as the title of the blog post is British Government Scorches Trump for Tweet on British Healthcare System. Donald Trump stepped in it once again. Taking his cue from Fox News, he decided to let his mindless Twitter finger go to work on another tweet that did nothing but bring shame to America for its healthcare policies. Donald Trump's Twitter finger continues to draw the wrath of foreign governments as he continues to show his ignorance on healthcare. And you know what? It's not only his ignorance on healthcare, it's his ignorance on everything else. After listening to Fox News misrepresent, read, lie about the demonstrations in the United Kingdom against the underfunding of their National Health Care Service, Trump sent out an uninformed tweet, a Fox News inspired tweet. And you know what? If it's a Fox News inspired tweet, you know what it is. And here's what the tweet said. The Democrats are pushing the universal health care while thousands of people are marching in the UK because the U system, I think he means universal health care system, is going broke and not working. Dems want to greatly raise taxes for really bad and non-personal medical care. No thanks. All right, before I continue with the blog, I don't understand how people think. How can you possibly think that somehow taking money out of a system is somehow going to make that system serve more people, is somehow going to be better for people? That kind of logic I don't get. My dear friends who support Donald Trump and who wants Obamacare dead without a replacement that is better, think. If I suggested to you that I'm going to reduce your salary so that you can be more efficient and have a better life, would you take it? These are simple analogies one should make before they adopt the policies of those who who doesn't wish them well. To put it bluntly, likely wish many of them harm. Because I tell you something that nobody talks about. The reason a lot of times people talk about raising the raising the life limit, rather raising the age limit and all these type of issues, because what they're telling Americans is we really want you to die, because if you die you won't collect. Sounds bad. They never say it, but the actuarial tables tell you that. You raise the age by $1 or by a year or two, you kill a lot of people, and what happens then? Your costs fall. So your costs fall not because you're ingenious or because you've really just raised the age because people are living longer. It drops because you're allowing people to die, and that's our humane society. That is from the set of people who believe in what's that word called again? Pro-life? No, baby. It's not pro-life at all. Continuing the message. It was not long before the entire British government responded to the ill-advised tweet. British Health Secretary Jeremy Hunt responded to Trump's tweet as follows. I may disagree with claims made on that march, meaning the what they're talking about in the protest in England, but not one of them wants to live in a system where 28 million have no cover. In other words, as bad as some of the people in England think their system is currently, and remember, what they're complaining about is they think their system needs more money because their wait times, because of the flu epidemic that has hit England and all over the world, what has happened is that the system became overstressed because of the influx of people into that system. So therefore, they said, oh, we have to, elective surgeries, we have to put back. Or surgeries that are not emergencies, we have to put back because the systems are stressed. As the systems become less stressed, these people would come right back in and have their surgeries. You know, Americans act, and I'm not done with his response, but many Americans act like that is the end of the world. Oh my God. They are postponing operations. In America, you simply don't get the operations. Why? Because if you don't have the money, if you don't have insurance, I'll tell you what, 28 million Americans won't get that insurance at all. They won't get that operation at all because they wouldn't have seen a doctor who would have told them they needed an operation. So it is a lie to believe that because for certain conditions in Canada, for certain conditions in England, that these people may have to wait a week or two or a month or three, that somehow you can equate that with the United States of America. No, because there are people in the United States of America, they're not waiting at all. They're foregoing medical care. They're not waiting at all. They are dying. That is the reality in the United States that nobody wants to tell you as we pat ourselves on the back saying how great our system is. The truth of the matter is, I live in an affluent Kingwood area. Wow, my God. We had a woman here who died from a flesh-eating bacteria because she wanted to have her kid at home because she didn't want to have to pay the hospital cost. She died. No insurance. Okay? So folks, let's wake up and see what it's all about in this country. Our healthcare system is not, I repeat, it is not better than most of the industrialized countries. In fact, they are better, they live longer, they live healthier, and they're happier, and they don't go bankrupt. Because you know what? You heard what? Well, I'll tell you a little bit more about that when I continue reading. But continuing with what Jeremy Hunt said. I may disagree with claims made on that march, but not one of them wants to live in a system where 28 million people have no coverage. NHS may have challenges, meaning the national healthcare system in England may have challenges, but I am proud to be from the country that invented universal coverage, where all get care no matter the size of their bank balance, where all get care no matter the size of their bank balance. Prime Minister Theresa May's spokesperson said, the Prime Minister is proud of having an NHS which is free at the point of delivery. You hear that? You get sick, you go to the hospital, you get cared for, and you pay nothing. It's all paid for in general taxes that we all pay for. You know, a lot of the Republicans or the right-wingers like to spring it as, oh my God, you want free health care, you want free this, you want free that. No, we do not. We want progressive taxes applied to pay for the things that are necessities for our people, things that we consider universal rights. Healthcare, a universal right. Everybody who goes to that doctor should be seen, irrespective of ability to pay. Actually, they shouldn't be paying. It should be out of general funds, and that can be done. We do it with high schools. We do it with elementary schools. We do it all over the place, and it comes out of general funds. And that way, it all evens out because we all partake in society. All of us, no matter how little you do. Now, yes, you have a few bombs on the street. But you know what? To have a better, we don't legislate for the louses. We don't legislate for the people who are not the norm. We legislate for the masses. And legislation for the masses says we all pay taxes, and we should all get in care for. Now, people may say, well, look, that big stockbroker who made $20 million is going to pay the brunt of it. Hell yes. He didn't make that $20 million. That $20 million came from the people at large wanting to buy some product that he may have had something to do with. Is Bill Gates worth the billions that he has? Absolutely not. A capitalist system says he's worth that amount of money. An efficient system. By the way, capitalist says the efficient allocation of resources. That is a definition of capitalism, right? Capitalism is the efficient allocation of resources. That's bull. So resources are not allocated efficiently if a Bill Gates can accumulate the type of monies that he accumulates. That's not the most efficient way to allocate assets. And Bill Gates didn't invent the knowledge. He didn't invent the things that he did. I mean, these were acquisition of knowledge by a capitalist who says, because I'm a capitalist, because I have what people want in a capitalist country, money, I can do as I please. In effect, he's a slave driver because he gets the spoils. He gets what's known as the excess labor from everybody else. People, we have to educate ourselves in reality. From the day we were born in America, we were indoctrinated into believing that this was the only way. No, it is not the only way, nor is it the necessary way at all. Continuing with the blog before I go ahead and finish, Theresa May, spokesperson, said, the Prime Minister is proud of having an NHS which is free at the point of delivery. In other words, none of their citizens are turned away for health care because they are poor or have no money. Opposition Labour Party leader Jeremy Corbyn stuck it to Trump more so than the others. What did he say? What did he say? I really can't go through the thought process of Donald Trump on this matter. I really can't. Jeremy Corbyn said, all I would say to him is that millions of Americans don't get access to any health care. Boom. Millions of Americans don't get access to health care at all. Everybody in England, in the United Kingdom, everybody in Canada, everybody in Germany, everybody in Taiwan, everybody in France, everybody in Panama, the place that I'm from, what you guys call a third world country, everybody gets Seguro Social. May not be the best or the most efficient or the cleanest or the best looking healthcare, but everybody gets it. And here in the first world country of the world, the most powerful country in the world, that is what we're talking about. People going bankrupt because they cannot afford their bills. Folks, that's not the best healthcare system in the world. And until we are able, and I have to try to find a way as an activist myself, Keshia has to find a way as an activist herself to be able to tell that message so that it is believed because it is truth. It's a truth, and we have to be able to tell that message so that we can defy those who are lying about what a real system looks like. Corbyn is correct. Corbyn is correct. With all the problems in the NHS, with all the problems the NHS is having, their healthcare system is still better than ours based solely on outcomes. The right tries to use these hiccups in healthcare systems around the world to justify the draconian system in the United States. Our government, because of its negligence, caused the legal execution of many of its citizens for lack of health services commensurate with the prosperity of our country, just to protect an industry that robs us blind, just to protect an industry that pilfer us all. Folks, I don't care if you're a right-winger. I don't care if you're a left-winger. I don't care where you stand on the field. These people are robbing you. They're stealing your money. They are not giving you the services rendered. They're robbing you blind. Whether you're a right-winger or a left-winger, it isn't something that you cannot see. So you have to take off your ideological glasses and take a look at what's happening to you. After all, it affects the outcome. It affects what makes you move forward in life. The only solution, absolutely, and I'll discuss this. I'll sit down with a calculator and tell you. The only solution from a basic mathematical and ethical standpoint is a Medicare for all system that is based on a single payer care system where there's only one payer. You don't have duplication of absolutely any services whatsoever. People, you have to understand this. You have to go read HR 676. Please do. We have to get over our indoctrination with what we were taught in this country for years to come. People are going to say, well, capitalism is what built those big skyscrapers, those big buildings, those big bridges. You know what? Russia has all of them too. By the way, I'm not advocating anything close to what these people are. I am a free enterprise believer. I do not believe in systems that take advantage and pilfer people. I do not believe in hurting people. And anywhere you get an accumulation, you have a system where wealth can be accumulated ad nauseum. Wealth can be accumulated without limit. Where the wealthy are growing faster than everybody else. It is unsustainable and it has to crash. What those activists like myself and others are doing now is saying, we do not want a crash. We do not want a revolution. We want a change that can transition us into a system that's equitable. We're not saying we want equal outcomes. We want equal access to success, and we want a bare minimum sustainable way for those that just have nothing to survive. Folks, telephone number 646-716-5812. Again, that number is 646-716-5812. And I think this is John that I have on the line, and then Keshia, I'll come back to you. John, come on in. How are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing okay. Enjoyed the conversation with your guest, but I do have to disagree with her on her endorsement of Beto O'Rourke. You know, you're talking about single payer, and the only person who supports single payer in the Senate race is Seema Hernandez. She is a Bernie supporter. She supports the Bernie agenda, and Beto O'Rourke had a very, I do think he's a decent congressman. I don't think he's great. His voting record, since Trump has come into office, has gotten more conservative. If you look on 538, he right now is the 43rd most conservative Democrat listed. He votes with Trump. They listed on how often that they vote with Trump. He votes with Trump 23% of the time. He voted just recently for the Defensive Appropriation Act for 2018, which is ridiculous, the amount of money that the Defense Department got. Only 23 Democrats voted for that act, and the other 170 voted against it. So, again, I'm not trying to demonize him. I'm just trying to lay out the facts, and the facts are that he is not anywhere close to being as progressive as Seema Hernandez is, and I support Seema Hernandez strongly, and, I hope Beto becomes more progressive. I'm glad he stopped taking PAC money, but his voting record has been a moderate at best, and it's become more conservative as Trump has come into office.
Let me let Keshia respond.
Okay, that is an excellent point that you brought up. And then the first thing I thought, we started to think was like, a clock is right twice a day, even if it's broken. That means to say that voting with Trump 23% of the time doesn't mean that he stands in line with Trump. Now, you brought up some really great points. And the first point is about that defense bill, because that was a huge amount of money that defense got. In the United States, we spend more money on defense and more money on putting people in prison than anywhere else in the world. What I want you to do is I want you to come out this Saturday, and I want you to say everything that you have to say or everything you feel about Beto. I want you to say, hey, where are you going? Are you conservative? Are you progressive? What are some of your issues? The second thing I want to say is that you said that you had a great candidate that was a Bernie Sanders, in line with Bernie Sanders' values. I'm not doubting that there's not other great candidates out there. I'm not doubting that at all. The only thing that I'm going to say about that is that we cannot let history repeat itself. We cannot afford to split the vote. And what I mean, and you know exactly what I mean by that, but if we need to take a look at this other candidate, then let's take a look at her. Bring her to the town hall.
Let me get in
Let's see
here.
how, the one thing I like about Beto, he's not afraid to answer these questions. I don't have the correct answer to say to you why, Beto might be or might not be better than your candidate. But let's get it all out there.
Keshia, you answered that question exactly like I expected you to answer that question, because and I think I know my brother John here is definitely with it. John is absolutely correct. John and I have spoken about Beto, and we've spoken about what we intended to do as personally. Now, I'm not speaking as a show host here. I'm just speaking personally, and that is we are supporting the most progressive candidate in the primary, and then whatever happens, we work like hell, just like we did work like hell for Hillary Clinton after Bernie lost. The same thing, in my opinion, will occur. Beto did get me upset a bit with the issue on the work, for the people going to work. Not big, the funny thing about it is when Beto said people should give 1 year service, that's a great thing, right? It's a great thing to do.
Yeah, but he got a lot of flack for that one.
The reason why he got the flack is, once again, you're asking those who have been most deprived all during these last 30 years yet to produce something else, when those that pilfered the country are never asked to do anything, are never asked to sacrifice. And that is where that came from. Don't come and ask for a sacrifice first and then say, then you get XYZ. Our students are deeply in debt, not because they are bad students or not because they were they were irresponsible. It's because we, the baby boomers, were completely irresponsible in the way we set up the tax system to put those people to put our own kids at heart. Now that it is time for them to go, those who took advantage of the GI Bill, those who took advantage of the veterans loans, those who took advantage of all these great programs, and now that it's time to pay the next generation for that, they complain about wanting low taxes. Those are the issues. And Beto, I think what John had to say with Beto and his voting record, and John knows this a whole lot better than I do, because John gave me a schooling several times on the records on these individuals. He sits down with those numbers, and I tell you something. I think it is time for politicians like Beto to realize. I've written about this several times. America is not a conservative place. Texas is not a conservative place. Texas is non-voting, but their values are progressive. You ask people what their values are individually, even when I'm sitting down there in Starbucks with Trumpsters. And I mean, you hear the things that people want. These are progressive values. Instead of Beto voting, as John has explained, Beto needs to be talking. Beto needs to be talking progressive values. He needs to come to Kingwood. He needs to go to all these red areas, right? Let us, the activists can go ahead and get the blue areas taken care of. You know that, Keshia. We can bring those folks out if people hear him addressing things the right way and not having two faces. John, come on in.
Okay, yeah, I just want to reiterate what you're saying, because I think Beto has a good heart,
yes.
And I think that, the fact that he doesn't take PAC money has got him a lot of good attention on a lot of progressive outlets, like TYT. I know Jenks interviewed him a couple of times, and the fact that, as much as I do encourage people to vote for Sima Hernandez, but, let's face it, I mean, Beto's raised a lot of money. He has a lot of name recognition, and it's going to be a long shot for Sima. And so, in the general, it's very likely going to be Beto. And so, what I'm hoping though is if we see Sima Hernandez get a decent number, that he's going to say, hey, maybe I need to move a little bit more to the left. Maybe I need to, support Medicare for all. I mean, right now, just like a lot of Democrats, he says things like, I'll support universal health care and, kind of in an incremental way, which is good. I mean, that's probably more practical reality of the way it's actually going to happen.
That is more practical.
But, I just think that people should have a full-throated support for Medicare for all. And so I'm not trying to, get to demonize him too much, because, I do think like I said, he's got a good heart, and I think that he's he'll probably be the candidate, and he'll probably be a good candidate. And like Egberto said, I will support him. So, but I do think that primaries are the time to where you can put out how you really feel. I mean, I really feel strongly, being a Bernie Sanders supporter, about supporting his agenda, supporting the Our Revolution candidates and the Justice Democrats candidates and the brand new Congress candidates who really support Bernie's agenda. And so, I mean, that's kind of the way I feel about it, and I hope he will change some of his votes, and I hope he will understand that like Egberto says, is that, especially the millennials are moving towards the left, and also the age group, the 35 to 45, they're definitely moving towards the left because they feel that the center has failed them. And so so I just hope that he will listen to those needs and kind of go from there.
Come on in, Keshia.
I think that's, and I love what you have to say about the Bernie Sanders and whatnot, because I was a huge Bernie Sanders, like, Bernie, and excuse me. But we can use this all as a teachable moment. Yes. And the first teachable moment, I want to go back to one of the mistakes that you said that Beto made, which was about the care or, doing the year of service. Now, even though he made that mistake, what I can respect about him was the fact that he acknowledged that this thing was not the best thing. And instead of being prideful, he said, okay, well, let me rethink this.
Very true.
And I can respect somebody like that because we don't always come off, I don't always have the right answer right away. And sometimes, even myself, I make mistakes. Not often, but it can happen.
I'm glad
the
you said
second thing I want to say is that we're not... Mm-hmm.
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, the second thing I want to say is the candidate that you talked about. Tell me their name again.
Sima Hernandez.
Sima Hernandez. Okay, this is the first time I've heard Sima Hernandez. But what we need to do is make sure that her supporters, let's say on the private, let's say Beto gets, but by the way, he's outraised more money than Ted Cruz has right now without taking any PAC money.
That is amazing.
That's a very good thing. But anyways, let's hold him I'm always about holding people to the fire. I want you to come on Saturday, and I want you to look him in the face and ask him those questions. Let him give you the answer for, why, about the Medicare or Medicaid.
Okay, Keshia,
and then let's hold him to it.
Keshia, I want to bring in the Facebook messages because we kind of been doing a whole lot and leaving them out, and I can't leave my Facebook commenters out. Although I wish more of you would call the 646-716-5812 in the future. I want this stuff to be vibrant, folks, both online and regular pots, plain old telephone, Anyhow, Norman Bonk says, hello, I passionately support your ethos of free enterprise without abusing people. I am a Christian and believe we need to acknowledge a Christian basis for humane treatment of each other. Understanding many are not Christian. The right purports to be righteous Christians, but use this as smoke screen of greed. In as much as we are in a political struggle, we are involved in spiritual warfare. I must agree with that. Jules Anu says, yes, they built these buildings. How much access do you have to them? How does corporations really impact our lives when they are now controlling our laws? I mean, that is a very insightful statement, because you would hear a lot of right-wingers says, look at how great this country is, and they talk about, for real, the skyscrapers and everything else. Julie broke it down to the simple thing. And how many of you can use all those great things that got built? It's amazing, huh? You see it, somehow you feel ownership of it, but you can't do a damn thing with it because you can't be a part of it. Okay, we have Jules also saying, oh, that's some agreement. Okay, let's go to Deborah. Deborah Maury, my friend. His idiotic tweet made me so angry. As someone who lived in England and actually used their national healthcare system, I can tell you it's wonderful, and the people definitely do not want what we have. I can only imagine what the Brits and the rest of the world must think of a nation that would elect that person as their head of state. He is such an embarrassment. And she hits it on the money. And the reason I like comments like what Deborah just issued is because she's not speaking from what some right-winger told her or what somebody else told her. She was there. She used it. She knows it. People of intelligence, most of the country, listen to this woman. She knows it. She lived it. She saw it. When Ted Cruz tells you something, he knows of not what he speaks. Okay, continuing. We have Darrell Eisman. Right now, Bob Mueller and now on November 6, 2018 are the ways we all change this current corrupt president and the Republican Party from slowly eroding our democracy. In case you missed it, this is brilliant. And he left a link. I don't know what the link says. Raise the Oprah interview volume. Sorry, I forgot when I brought down the video. I needed to add some gain to it, my friend. I do apologize that I didn't have a higher volume for that. Next time, I'll try not to fail you. Sean GH, you lack...
They're on you, huh?
You ought to see when I make a grammar mistake what they do to me. They tear me up. I get emails. Hey, do you want me to read this? Then correct this darn thing. I'm saying yes, okay. I'll correct the grammar. I don't get mad. I mean, I don't. I mean, look, my skin is so damn thick. I don't know how far it is to get the vessel. Anyhow, when you do this kind of stuff, you really have to have a thick skin. Anyhow, so it's still not clear if the guy was even part of the KKK and not just a white guy walking by. My friend, when Keshia did that thing in what was it, Keshia, 1996?
Yep.
When she did that, that was real. You don't win picture of the year on some sort of a fad, okay? This woman was the picture of the year 1996, and she has remained a hell of an activist since. We are at the end of the show, folks, so let me ask first, John, give me a closer real quick, 30 seconds.
All right, great show. Just reminder, it's 2 weeks until the early voting starts here in Texas. I'm in San Antonio, so I won't be able to make it to your group in Houston. But in 1 month until voting day, 28 days, the 6th. And so I want to encourage everybody to go out and vote. I prefer our revolution candidates. But I mean, do your homework and vote who you feel is going to support your values the most, and hopefully we'll have a great turnout, a great Democratic turnout, and we'll go from there.
Keshia?
Yes.
Give me your 30-second
I
closer.
would definitely like to close with that we as Americans need to go forward together. We're not going to be able to do the kind of things that need to be done by ourselves. We need to really think about, without party lines, what are the things that we value? What are the things that we want to leave the next generation? Let us, like your caller said, focus on what we have, the next best move. The next best move in the primaries. Then we have, all these other elections. But let's focus on the next best. And finally, let's hold them to the fire. If another candidate's doing something excellent, say, hey, look at this candidate right here, and why are we not following the line of their values? But as Reverend Barbara says, forward together and not one step back.
Thank you so kindly, Keshia. Folks, thank you so kindly for spending this time with me. We were about 30 seconds late today because we had a little bit of technical problems getting Keshia on the line. She was supposed to be here live, but somehow her computer misbehaved. Next time we'll have her video live with you. Right now I just had a picture up with you, Keshia. Folks, look, remember that this is a call-in show. In the future, I'd like more of you to call in. My name is Egberto Willis. This is Politics Done Right. See ya mañana. You guys have a wonderful rest of the day.
Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Williams. This is the progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. Remember, you can also send me a tweet to EGBERTOWILLIES. That is at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is politics done right.
1, 2, 3, 4.